All right, hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I don't know. Maybe this is your first time here. Maybe you're coming back. I have no idea. But today I'm going to be talking about Ernest Hemingway's The Snows of Kilimanjaro and Other Stories. This is a short story collection. As you can see, it's not very long. The page count in this old Scribner edition is 154 pages in hardcover. The Snows of Kilimanjaro is like 28 pages long. Let's talk about that story real quick. It's basically about a writer who has gone to Africa, and he's essentially on his deathbed, and he's having regrets over his life. He's there with his spouse, and they seem to have a tenuous relationship with one another. And it's really just kind of him reminiscing about things, going in and out of a fever as he's languishing at death's doorstep. Now, there was a film adaptation that I watched. All right, this is in public domain. I will link a version of this movie below in the description box if you want to watch it. But I will say this movie is not a good adaptation of the short story. Sure, it expands a lot on the material in there, which is to be expected, but the happy ending, yeah, it's not Hemingway. I guess Hemingway said didn't like this movie either. It's directed by Henry King, and it's a shame because Henry King directed one of my favorite westerns of all time, The Gunfighter, which stars Gregory Peck. So if you've never seen The Gunfighter, I think that's in the public domain as well. You should definitely watch The Gunfighter. But is this Henry King's best film? Not by a long shot. Pretty forgettable. This film detective restored version here, not very good. It looks like somebody just took an old beat up VHS tape and transferred it onto DVD. It's not cleaned up. It says restored classics. Restored classics, my tookus. There's better versions of this uploaded to YouTube that are in better resolution, that are cleaner than this. But if you want to watch this movie, starring Gregory Peck, Susan Hayward, and Ava Gardner, fine acting, just be aware that this is not Hemingway. All right. Uh, Snows of Kilimanjaro was not my favorite story in this book. In fact, I don't know that I would say that this is great. Maybe I'm just not a good judge of writing. I don't know. I thought most of the book was mid. Um, Maybe half of it. There are a couple of stories in here that I really did enjoy. I'll point those out to you. So, in addition to Snows of Kilimanjaro, we have A Clean, Well-Lighted Place, A Day's Wait, The Gambler, The Nun, and The Radio, Fathers and Sons, In Another Country, The Killers. Now, The Killers is a Nick Adams story, and several of these stories have a recurring character named Nick Adams. I don't know how many Nick Adams stories there are, but The Killers, why I stop and mention that is because there are two movie adaptations of The Killers. One of them starring Burt Lancaster, I believe it's from the 1940s, and then another version starring Lee Marvin. Now, I have seen neither version of the of those films. Okay, I have seen neither film. It's basically a couple of hitmen that are going to take this guy out, and he's waiting for them. Um, it's not a real long story. It was decent. We have A Way You'll Never Be Free, 50 grand. Now, 50 grand was about a boxer getting into a boxing match and getting his, I mean, they slugged it out. It was a really good story. I really enjoyed that one. I would say that 50 grand. And then the last story in this book, The Short Happy Life of Francis Maycomer. Okay, it's about a guy named Francis Maycomer who's very wealthy. He goes on safari with his wife in Africa, and they have this hunter with them, another, Anglo dude, right, named Wilson, and essentially the Maycomer character loses his nerve when he's getting ready to shoot a lion, and Wilson has to take it out. Now, then his wife cuckolds him, right? Like his wife, Francis Maycomer's wife, sleeps with Wilson, and then things kind of get really tense from there. And I won't spoil the ending of the short story, okay? But I thought that the short story was very well done. In fact, it was probably my favorite in the book, even though it's dark. Um, I really am liking Ernest Hemingway quite a bit. I can see why people like him, and I can definitely see why people loathe him. I happen to be in the category of people that thinks he's pretty great. This is like men's adventure stuff. Um, I do have another short story collection I picked up from my library because this was a library book. So I have not read it yet, but it's In Our Time. Okay, another collection of Hemingway short stories. And somebody has marked in the front of this. See, they wrote Nick Adams because there are Nick Adams stories in this book as well. So this reoccurring character of Nick Adams, somebody has put a note. They wrote it into this library book, which I don't know if I'm a fan of writing or marking it up, but they've put a little annotation here about the Nick Adams stories at the bottom. So it says that short stories number 1, 5, 12, 14, and 15 in this novel are all Nick Adams stories. And then it looks like stories 6, 10, 8, they could possibly be Nick, but I don't know. Now, I don't know if the Nick Adams stories are collected in a short story collection or something, all the stories that are just Nick Adams focused. But yeah, it's interesting because these little Nick Adams stories are kind of like snapshots in the life of this character just at various times. They're not in chronological order or anything. You're just jumping in. Nick is a young man. Nick serving in like World War One. Nick here, Nick there, Nick everywhere. So it's interesting. I guess that's really all I have to say. Now, I would not recommend starting like reading Ernest Hemingway with these short story collections. I have not yet read The Sun Also Rises. Now, I am going to read this. My library does not have The Sun Also Rises. So maybe I'll have to order a copy for myself. I don't know, but I do plan on reading it. I was going to say, like, start somewhere with Ernest Hemingway. I think that The Old Man and the Sea is probably like your best starting place because it's short, it's a low commitment, right? It's kind of a novella, and you can pretty much gauge whether or not you're going to like Ernest Hemingway by reading that book. And if you walk away from that book really enjoying it, then go ahead and dive into the rest of his works. If not, then he's probably not for you. Now, I do want to say something here because there's a certain individual out there. Maybe he's watching, maybe he's not. I don't know. It's a possibility that he's hate watching me. But he has a very low opinion of Hemingway. And he basically has stated that men that read Hemingway, that he said that Hemingway is a third rate writer. He's not good, that his writing is ugly. He's also said that people that read Hemingway, this was a generalization by him, I guess, a stereotype, said that they have dodgy relationships with their fathers and that they're bald, pudgy men that cannot lift their own body weight. Well, I'm here to tell you that I still have most of my hair. I do have a receding hairline. And I don't have a dodgy relationship with my father. And, you know, let me take a sip here. Again, that's not coffee. But I'll prove to you that I can lift my own body weight. All right, the proof is in the pudding. Let me lift my own body weight for you. How many should I do? 25? Should I count them out? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. You want me to keep going? Nah, you're going to get bored. All right, so I guess that's it. I mean, what else do I have to say? All right. Ernest Hemingway, he ain't for everybody. He's definitely written for men. And since I am a man, I enjoy reading it. I guess that's really all I got to say about it. I can understand why women would be turned off to this stuff. It's very macho. So, yeah, I guess he's been accused of misogynism and racism. I don't know. Who am I to judge, right? I don't pretend to know the inner workings of Hemingway's mind, nor do I care, because I really enjoy his writing. So that's it. Thanks for watching. And to all my dude bros out there and all my haters, have a wonderful day.